You're not stuck because you lack mechanics. You're stuck because you've been practicing them wrong. Most players go into free play and just spam full plays over and over, like full field air dribbles, resets, double taps, and when that doesn't work, they just repeat it faster and faster and they start getting annoyed. But what actually happens is that you're reinforcing the exact same mistake every single time. If your first touch is heavy, if your setup is unstable and your positioning is off, you're just teaching your brain that that version of the play is normal. So instead of improving, you're just reinforcing bad patterns. So I'm gonna use a full field air dribble as an example, and I'm making it as complex as possible so that you can break down a simple mechanic like a flick. If you can't consistently get a flip reset or you're losing control midair, don't keep running the full thing. You just break it down. Start with just the first touch. If your first touch is really bad, then you start with the first touch. Go off the wall or off the ground and focus only on one thing, making the ball land soft. No reset attempt, no pressure to score, just a clean first touch that you could actually follow. Once that's consistent, then you add the next layer. So like that might be like a light carry. So the ball stays close, your car stays under it, and you're controlling speed instead of chasing it. Then you add positioning for the reset. Only now do you even think about flipping or getting extra touches. Because a flip reset isn't something you force, it's something that happens when everything before it is clean enough to create the opportunity. Most players skip that process. They go straight to the hardest version of the play, and they wonder why it feels inconsistent in their. Most players think getting better means playing faster, so they load into games or free play and try to speed everything up. Faster challenges, faster touches, faster decisions. But what actually happens is their control drops and every touch turns into a panic touch. Because speed doesn't really have control, it's just rushed. You see it all the time. A player flies into a challenge early, hits the ball away, and instantly loses possession. Now compare that to a controlled approach. Instead of rushing, you take a slightly wider angle, you match the speed of the play, you let the ball come into a position where your touch actually does something for you. It keeps possession, creates space, or sets up the next play. And that's the exact difference. At higher levels, especially SSL, players aren't just constantly moving at max speed. They're actually slower in their setup, but faster in their execution. They take an extra moment to get under the ball properly, and because of that, when they do go, it's instant, clean, and effective. So it feels fast, but it's controlled speed. They don't waste movement, they don't force plays early. Every touch has a purpose, and every bit of speed is used at the right moment. If you want to actually get faster, stop trying to play fast everywhere. Start getting controlled first. A lot of players think the way to improve is simple. They think queuing ranked over and over helps them. But ranked isn't where you build new skills. It's where your current habits show up under pressure. So if your touches are inconsistent, if your decisions are rushed, if your setups are messy, ranked isn't going to fix it. It's just going to expose it even more. You'll see the exact same mistakes happen again and again. You go for a challenge too early, you lose possession. The next time, the exact same situation comes up and you do it again. Feels productive, you're playing real games, you're trying to win, you're locked in, but in reality, you're just reinforcing whatever your default habits already are. And under pressure, you don't suddenly play better, you fall back on what you've repeated the most. That's why this line matters. That's why this line matters. If you want to actually improve, you have to take what ranked shows you. Take that exact mistake you see in ranked into free play or a drill and isolate it. The same situation, except there's no pressure. Instead of rushing the challenge, you control your approach, and instead of throwing the ball away, you take a soft touch and keep possession. You repeat the correct version until it feels natural. Then you go back into ranked. Now when that situation shows up again, you don't default to the old habit. you have a better one ready. So don't just grind ranked hoping something changes. Use ranked to identify the problem, and use training to fix it. A lot of players think the reason they're not ranking up is because they don't have hard enough mechanics. So they start chasing more flip resets, more double taps, more ceiling shots, and thinking that's what's going to push them to the next rank. But most rank gaps aren't mechanical, they are consistency and control. At higher levels, players aren't winning because they're doing the hardest possible play. They're winning because they're more consistent. What I'm doing here might look simple, but this is how you actually build real control. I'm not trying to go for any crazy type of mechanics or score clips. I'm breaking dribbling down to its most basic form, like I was talking about earlier, so I can actually understand it. Right here, I'm just dropping the ball off my car and catching it again with the corner of my car. What this does is it teaches first touch consistency. At least to me, it makes me feel more consistent because most people don't lose the ball randomly. They lose it on the first touch. So instead of forcing full dribbles, I isolate that moment. Once the catch, the angle, the softness, and the position of my car feel natural, I move on. Now I'm doing wide arcs around the field with no boost. And this part matters more than people think. I'm not flicking my joystick around, making sharp adjustments. This part is really important. It really took me a while to understand this, and it made my movement really smooth. So I'm holding a smooth, consistent input the entire time. This builds a natural feel for turning while controlling the ball, because in real games, control isn't really sharp, it's smooth. If your movements are jittery, your touches will be too. So this trains my car control and ball control together. Now I start adding boost, but very lightly, just feathering it. Not holding it down, not rushing, just small adjustments. This helps me understand how boosting affects the ball while I'm dribbling. And then I add the flick. But notice I'm not forcing it. The flick comes after control feels stable, because a flick is just a result of a good dribble, not something separate. And this is the part most people skip. They go straight into advanced mechanics without building the foundation first. But when you train like this, everything becomes more consistent. Your first touches improve, your dribbles feel more controlled, your flicks become easier and more accurate, your aerials feel more consistent even though you've been practicing dribbles. So before you isolate any complicated mechanic, or even simple ones, you need to be comfortable with each one at their foundation. Because that's where consistency comes from. Not grinding harder, but training more efficiently. So it's not about playing less or grinding more, it's about changing how you practice. Instead of going into free play with no focus, you go in with one intention. One mechanic, one type of touch, one situation. And you don't leave until it feels clean. If the rep starts getting messy, you don't push through it, you reset it. Because bad reps don't build progress, they just build habits. Then when you play ranked, you stop treating it like training. You use it like a test. You look for the same mistakes showing up, rushed touches, forced plays, wasted possession, and now you actually know where they're coming from. So you find the problem in ranked, you fix it in free play, and then you bring it back into games. That's how you actually improve. Not by doing more, but by doing things with intention. This is a live example of how you should practice. So pay attention to when I reset the play. I get a bad touch and then I reset immediately, and then I go for a clean rep. And if I see my first touch is good, I continue the play. Improving isn't about doing more. It's about removing everything that wastes your touches. Most players add more speed, more mechanics, more games. But if your touches aren't controlled, you're just stacking inconsistency. Every rushed hit, every loss of control is just another bad pattern you're reinforcing. So instead of asking how to do more, start asking what to get rid of. Remove the panic, remove the unnecessary movement, remove anything that breaks your control. Because when you do that, your first touches get cleaner, your dribbles feel smoother, and the game starts to slow down. It's not about doing the most, it's about wasting the least.